Hello, welcome back to this week's episode of Galactic Reviews. And this week we watched Sonic 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, not to be confused with the restaurant. So you didn't know that? So like Sonic owns the copyright for the restaurant, whereas
Yeah, no,
Sonic the
I
Hedgehog,
know it.
Sega,
I just
owns the
wasn't expecting it
copyright for
to be
Sonic the
segued.
Hedgehog.
I just wasn't expecting it to be segued into this video.
No, Andrew
No,
was
I
looking
was
at
I
me
was
like
thinking there's a
confused.
Oh,
restaurant
okay.
called Sonic 3.
I lost it with my verbal stupidity. We're moving on. So overall, I thought this movie was good. There was less of the humans element in it. They were still there, but the human, I guess, parents or sidekicks, as I don't know what they're,
Guardians. I
yeah,
think
guardians
that
or
would you
whatever.
would be the correct term.
Yeah, they weren't there near as much. They were only there where they needed to be, and they weren't as annoying as they were the first time, and actually were involved more in the plot than they were, I think, in the second film, whereas they were just mainly in the subplot. I didn't mind Eggman and his father or
Grandfather.
grandfather. I didn't mind either of them. There was a few. There was like I think there was only one line where I was like, where I could tell it was like the same actor, and like Jim Carrey kind of like flubbed up the, like I mean, besides other than them saying it,
Blatantly saying it.
yeah, blatantly saying it and blatantly mocking it and everything. Like other than that, I think there was like one line where I was like, that kind of sounds off for the way he's saying it in that character as that character. It was good as far as like a kid's film. It was still enjoyable. It was enjoyable to watch. There were funny moments in it. I liked Keanu Reeves' Shadow. I'm curious as to what Hayden Christensen would have been like as Shadow, as the rumor was, but I think this was the better of the two to be utilized for that character. It would be funny if Hayden Christensen came back as Metal Sonic or something, or some other character, as that was a rumor a while ago that he was going to be Sonic, and
I
then it
guess
was Keanu Reeves.
he could come back as Silver
That would be
if they
good
do
too.
introduce Silver later on.
That's going to take a while though.
I mean, with the rate they're going, probably in like
Probably
one
not,
or two
no, but
movies.
yeah,
Because
probably like
from what,
Sonic
not,
5
yeah, not
or
to
6.
interrupt, because I just was looking through. Apparently, they've announced Sonic and Mario already.
Oh, really?
Sonic versus Mario.
That'll be cool. Chris
So
Pratt and what's his face? Who's the guy that does Luigi?
I don't remember off the top
Charlie,
of
what's
my
his
head.
name?
Charlie Sheen?
No, no, I remember the guy's face. He's in
I don't know.
what's
We'll
it?
just put a
Always
picture
Sunny
of
in
him right up.
Philadelphia. He's that guy on the meme that does with the board or whatever with the yarn.
I know who you're talking about. I just
I,
don't know names, Payson.
I don't.
Also, no, there's no Sonic and Mario. It's a concept trailer that someone made that's been blown up.
My heart broke.
Mm.
Honestly, that I'm actually kind of excited for it because they haven't introduced enough Sonic. I mean, not Sonic, Mario to
Mario and
make that
Sonic
work.
game. They've done enough Mario and Sonic games to where I
Well,
kind of even know anything about
games,
it.
but
So
like they only have one Mario movie. If there were two or maybe three of them, like Sonic, it would have
yeah,
made more sense
yeah. Well, I
to
think
have more plot to the
I don't know
characters,
if
I
they're ever gonna
suppose.
do any more Mario movies,
Either.
but I have no.
I
That's also speculating. But back
yeah,
to
yeah.
Sonic 3. I liked Knuckles. I liked Tails in this movie. I didn't really have much of a complaint with any of the characters. Um, it was just an overall fun movie. They did a good job with the background for Shadow and for essentially at the same point the grandfather of Eggman. They did a good job with introducing, I think Maria was the kid's name.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
did a good job with her. They did a good job with Shadow's sort of realization of him being in the wrong and him fixing it. They did a good job with everything that they were going to do in this movie. Overall, it's just a good movie. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. The soundtrack was there. I don't remember it being good or bad. I don't remember that.
It was a lot of old Sonic songs.
Voice acting was good. I thought they did a good job with that, and the CGI was good as well. They did a good job capturing a lot of the characters' emotions really well with the CGI characters. So yeah, 8 out of 10. I have not seen the Knuckles show, and you do not need to see it for this movie, but I'm pretty sure it is in reference to the with the guy with the hockey stick holding the emerald. I think that has something to do with that, but
That would make sense. Yeah.
Probably.
it's not necessary in order for you to understand that at all. Who wants to
Okay.
go next?
Andrew, I'll let you go first and I'll wrap up today.
Cool. I thought it was great. I greatly enjoyed it. I think if I had to rank them all, I would think I enjoyed this one the most out of the three of them. I would say this one. Then honestly, the second and the first. The second had more characters, and the first one was just an introduction to Sonic.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. They've been incrementally getting better as they've been
Yeah.
going on, which is something
Mhm.
that's rare for sequels to keep doing.
It
Well, they
was
keep on. I'll let you finish.
it was funny as a 24-year-old grown man. I found myself laughing throughout most of the movie. I loved Jim Carrey. I love him as the Grinch. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, one of my favorite roles. I loved being able to see some of that kind of like Grinch energy, or really just Jim Carrey energy, brought to Robotnik. He was just having fun. Little unfortunate to see that I guess like step parents figures, best friend figures, I don't know, just kind of getting less and less screen time over time, despite how kind of like important they were in the first movie. But that it kind of makes sense. It's not about them, it's about Sonic.
And
Yeah,
they keep adding more and more Sonic characters, so they have more
Mm.
people to put out front instead of them.
I don't mind them as much when like it's not a whole bunch of the other family members that keep getting involved. When it's just the
Yeah,
two of them, which it
yeah.
was for most of
Mhm.
this, I thought that worked well. But yeah,
The scenes they did have, there were some pretty funny scenes with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Um, Overall, just I really enjoyed it. The story was fun. It was great. It wasn't too simple. It wasn't too complicated. It really harkened back to one of the games, if I remember correctly, or at least with Shadow's backstory. They pulled that from the games.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
they did not piss on the moon in this one. Oh, they did. They did. They did do that. The fight between Shadow and Sonic was so good. Oh, that was probably my favorite part just from the intensity of it. It made me feel like I was 12 watching Dragon Ball again. It was great. Overall, yeah, probably it's, enjoyment wise, solid 8, 9 out of 10. Probably would have to give it a middle line 7.5 just overall.
All right. Well, I really, really enjoyed this movie. It was exactly what I wanted it to be for a Shadow origin story. I think it hit pretty much every point it needed to explain who he is, to show us who he is. It gave me what I wanted with the iconic motorcycle and the gun that he carried in that one game, but it still is what I wanted because that's when you pull up Shadow, a lot of the images is just him carrying two machine guns. And it's just he is a very fun, unique Sonic character because he is just the complete opposite of Sonic the Hedgehog. But when they do work together like they did in this movie, they are a very, very destructive team. I'm really happy that they're going through and introducing pretty much one character in each movie, one new character.
Right.
Um, I
Kind
know in the
of.
second one they showed us two new characters.
And technically they did the same thing here. They
Yes,
introduced
but
the
they introduced two, but only at the very end did they introduce the second one.
well, I mean, they also kind of introduced the evil Dr. Eggman. Or the or the grandfather Dr.
Well,
Eggman as well.
to explain Shadow, you have to involve the grandfather.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is there
But
it's
he's not
two.
really a like he is not a focal point for a story. He is just kind of a backstory to explain Shadow. He doesn't hold as much significance as Eggman does.
Mhm.
But I do understand your point. I hope they continue to introduce new characters, but I'm glad they're not introducing a whole bunch of them all at once. They're doing it one at a time or in increments. Because if they did it all at once, I think it would just destroy the pacing of these movies.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited that they're doing it gradually.
Well, we already know based on the end credits scene who the next one is. So
I mean, everyone was expecting and waiting for Amy to show up. She is an iconic member of the Sonic franchise. Honestly, after Amy, there's not really many others that hold a big spotlight, I believe. You can do like Styx or I forget the vampire's name. I can never remember
Ro
her name.
Rouge.
Rose.
Yeah, thank you. I can never remember the name. But you can introduce her. One thing that did kind of confuse me in this movie was the fact of they had people dressed up as the
The Chows.
the Chows, but we still haven't seen any of them. So potentially there are already some there in Japan.
Maybe that was just their way to be like, look,
I mean, it
Chow
could be. It could be. It
without
could
actually
be.
having them.
I love that
But
joke.
they
He
still,
looks like a
yeah.
Pokemon. Pika Pika. Such
Yeah.
a good joke.
There's still a lot of characters they can introduce, but at this point with Amy, that is the main crew of Sonic.
Yeah.
They're the foremost iconic. The only problem I do have with this, well, with really the last two movies, is Knuckles. Knuckles is I really enjoy Knuckles, but in these movies they make him so simple,
Yeah.
and he is he's not as simple as they make him. They're making him more of a comedic relief, and I don't think they need that in this movie since pretty much everyone in this mo or these movies are comedic reliefs.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not the smartest person, but he's not as simple as they're making him out to be. That's the only problem I have really with any of these movies. Other than that, I would like to see more from Tails, really, and truthfully.
Yeah, they
We
both
gotta
kind of
see a
took a
little bit.
sideline.
Yeah,
They
we
both
got
both
we
of them
yeah
kind of
we
took a sideline.
yeah we get to see more of Knuckles, but then again, Knuckles only has pretty much one thing he can do. He's just extremely strong. Tails is a little bit more intricate. He's the man in the chair.
Yeah.
Without him, a lot of things wouldn't happen for Sonic. And we get to see that a few times, but I wish we got to see a little bit more of that, of the gadgets that Tails makes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got a
Um,
bunch of that in the second film. We just didn't get a lot of that in this
we
one.
got a few in
We
this
got
one.
some of it in the second film, not a bunch
Um,
of it.
the only thing I was kind of, I don't know if I would say disappointed in it because they can still do it in the second one. Um, when Shadow uses the emeralds, there's a specific line he says pretty much every time he uses the emeralds, and they didn't use it in the movie. And I was a little disappointed in that. But
Hey, the line.
what?
What's the
What's the
line?
line?
It's just chaos control, and that's all it is. And he slows down. Well, pretty much he stops time at a standstill.
Okay.
Um,
Well, maybe it's because he was splitting the emerald with Sonic.
it could be perfectly, but regardless, I still think Sonic is my favorite hedgehog. I mean, not Sonic, Shadow is my favorite hedgehog. I just like his design, his aura. Especially when he uses the emeralds. I just think he gets so much cooler.
Not Silver.
I mean, Silver is just broken. He, at that point, isn't even a hedgehog. He's just a superhero.
He's a hedgehog lord.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
I think my one issue I had with this movie was just sometimes the pacing felt rushed. That was the one big issue I had with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have, it was only like, what, an hour and a half? They could have stretched it out a little bit farther for the pacing, honestly.
There
Um,
was times specifically like when the dad figure. I'm not remembering his name. Um,
Donut Lord
Donut
in
Lord,
Yeah.
when
Sonic.
like Donut Lord got shot and like it flipped the switch in Sonic. Sit on that. Like, let us feel that. And they kind of didn't.
Yeah.
I think they did
They
a good
yeah.
enough job with that. That wasn't actually one of my complaints. My complaint would have probably been the exact opposite. I think they went a little bit too long with some of the stuff, with some of the bits with that double Jim Carrey was doing. I think some of those were good. I just think they kind of went a little bit long, and it was kind of like, okay, we get it now. What?
They pretty much at that point they were saving animation.
Yeah, yeah, I get that, but I'm like at the same time, I'm like,
I know what you mean though. Yeah. I
I'm
know what
like,
you mean.
this is good. Do another joke. Do something else. Oh, it's the same joke. We're gonna keep going. It's still
Yeah,
going.
but you also
Okay.
have to remember Eggman he doesn't believe he has a family because he's never met anyone. He built robots to be a family for him.
Yeah, I get that, but
But
they could have
I
done
do
it
see.
more. They could have done more stuff with that instead of just sitting on that bit for so long.
Mhm. I do see what you mean. I do see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I will agree, Andrew, that some things could have been more fleshed out, but I don't think that one needed to be. I think it was done well enough that it didn't need to be more fleshed out. I
Hmm.
think if they needed stuff to be more fleshed out, they could have done more stuff with Knuckles or more stuff with Tails. Those two characters kind of got sidelined from what they were in the second film. Not completely, but enough to where it was a noticeable difference.
Cool.
I don't know if you had more to say, Andrew.
That was my one gripe, the pacing. There were times where I was just like, wait, like we're moving on already. Um, Other than that, yeah, good movie. We all agreed. Thank you for watching Galactic Reviews. Join us next time as we review. So make sure to like and subscribe and let us know if there's any niche movie you want us to review. See y'all next time.